Hey everyone! Today we're diving into the dark side of the Justice League universe, ranking the top 10 villains from the weakest to the most powerful. These are the baddies that have given our heroes a real run for their money. If you're a fan of epic showdowns and want to see who comes out on top, you're in the right place. Before we jump in, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content like this. Let's get started. Felix Fa, a powerful sorcerer who made a Faustian pact and gained terrifying and demonic powers. Felix Fa is a lesser-known enemy of the Justice League, although he has appeared a few times in the team's animated series. Despite his relative obscurity, he deserves a spot on this list, as he's also become a foe of the Justice League Dark, the mystical version of the group, always seeking to amass all the magical knowledge in the universe. He first appeared in Justice League of America number 10, making him one of the group's earliest antagonists. Thanks to his demonic pact, he has telepathic abilities, energy manipulation, and even the power to summon monstrous beings from ancient times. Amazo. When it comes to villains who can copy their opponent's abilities, Amazo is a name that always makes the Justice League members shiver. This incredibly powerful android was created by the evil Professor Evo as his ultimate weapon against DC Comics' most iconic heroes. Amazo has the ability to replicate the powers and abilities of his adversaries, making him an unstoppable force against the team. His threat level is heightened by the fact that he can essentially use the Justice League's own powers against them. During the New 52 era, Amazo underwent a major redesign. Rather than being an android as in his classic form, he became a virus that infected the bodies of superpowered beings, transforming them into living weapons. This new version of Amazo was even more dangerous, as he could manipulate and weaponize the powers of anyone he came into contact with, making him a formidable and ever-evolving adversary. In Justice League, anyone who grew up watching the Super Friends cartoons probably remembers the Legion of Doom, which was basically the Justice League's villainous counterpart. While this concept worked for kids' shows, it wasn't taken too seriously, until, during the late writer Dwayne McDuffie's run, the Injustice League was officially brought to life in the comics in 2009. It's worth noting that McDuffie had already explored a similar idea by bringing together Lex Luthor, Joker, Gorilla Grodd, and others into a supergroup in the Justice League Unlimited animated series. After that, the team of villains reunited several more times, and a version very similar to the Legion of Doom, including the same swamp base, became canon in the comics under Scott Snyder's direction. And believe it or not, the Legion of Doom even made an appearance on TV during the Arrowverse crossovers. Despero, known as the first villain the Justice League ever faced in their solo title. He first appeared in Justice League of America number 1 in 1960. Despero is the classic alien conqueror you'd expect to see battling DC's iconic heroes. But his appearance alone is pretty terrifying. Red skin, scales, and a menacing third eye. What's most interesting about Despero is how his character evolved over time. Initially introduced as a relatively weak villain with some mind control abilities, he quickly became one of the Justice League's most ferocious enemies in the comics. In addition to his various mental powers, Despero is also a magic user, which makes him a significant threat even to Superman. Starro. This alien conqueror is extremely powerful, but let's be honest, his starfish-like appearance makes it hard for anyone to take him seriously. However, Starro was the first major threat the Justice League ever faced, debuting in the Brave and the Bold number 29 in 1960. His initial attack has a funny twist that leads to his defeat. Flash discovers that a powerless human, Snapper Carr, wasn't affected by Starro's mind control. After some investigation, the speedster finds out that it was because Carr was covered in lime juice. Yes, a simple earth fruit was able to bring down this alien menace. Despite this somewhat laughable history, Starro stands out not only because he's part of the Justice League's origins, but also because the character has evolved into various forms and remains a recurring adversary, or even an ally, as seen in the recent Dark Knight's death metal storyline. Fun fact, Starro is even rumored to appear in James Gunn's new Suicide Squad movie. Vandal Savage. Anyone familiar with Justice League comics likely knows Vandal Savage, a ruthless immortal warrior who's lived for over 100,000 years and has his sights set on world domination. To achieve this, he's gone head-to-head with some of the planet's greatest champions, even holding his own against beings like Superman. Savage has spent centuries enhancing his body and turning himself into an improved version of his former self. Along with his super strength and incredible resilience, he's a master in various scientific fields, having developed special serums and devices. Plus, he's an exceptional martial artist, making him a formidable opponent in every sense. AntiMonitor. Sometimes, comics introduce antagonists so powerful and terrifying that even a vast team of superheroes can't stop them. Such is the case with the AntiMonitor, best known as the primary villain of DC Comics' most significant crossover event, Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's worth noting that he was wreaking havoc across the multiverse long before it was a common trope. Hailing from an antimatter universe, the AntiMonitor was responsible for the collapse of the DC Comics multiverse's various Earths. His role in this epic saga was to annihilate entire realities, making him one of the most formidable threats ever faced by the DC heroes. The AntiMonitor's impact was so profound that he remains one of the most iconic villains in comic history. The scale of his menace was such that the editors have struggled to recreate his original level of grandeur and terror in subsequent appearances. His character epitomizes existential threats in the DC universe, making him a standout villain whose legacy continues to influence the storyline of the multiverse. Darkseid. Even if you've never picked up a Justice League comic, it's almost impossible not to have heard of Darkseid, one of the most formidable villains in DC Comics history. As one of the new gods, Darkseid rules the dark planet of Apocalypse with an iron fist. Darkseid is often seen as the quintessential cosmic tyrant and conqueror. His primary obsession is the anti-life equation, a tool that would grant him the power to control the entire universe and obliterate all his enemies. His relentless pursuit of this equation drives much of his villainy. Darkseid is not just a recurring adversary of the Justice League. He's also been a member of the group under rare and unusual circumstances. His presence in the comics extends beyond just villainy, as he plays a significant role in various storylines, including major crossovers and cosmic events. His influence and power make him a constant and looming threat in the DC universe, embodying the ultimate challenge for any hero. Prometheus. Sometimes, superpowers aren't necessary when you have intellect as unparalleled as Prometheus. Created by Grant Morrison, this villain serves as a kind of parody of Batman and was introduced to pose a significant challenge to the Justice League in the comics, so much so that he nearly destroyed the team entirely. With a secret identity that remains undiscovered, Prometheus wields a helmet he designed himself that allows him to copy the abilities of his opponents. This means he can mimic the fighting styles of various heroes and use those skills against them. His dangerous potential is clearly demonstrated in the 2009 storyline Justice League, Cry for Justice, where his abilities and strategic mind lead to severe consequences for the League. Prometheus' unique threat comes from his exceptional planning and ability to neutralize heroes by using their own powers and tactics against them. His intelligence and preparation make him one of the most formidable foes the Justice League has ever faced. Secret Society of Supervillains. While the Legion of Doom is one of the most well-known rival groups of the Justice League, the Secret Society of Supervillains is an older and more traditional threat. The group has brought together villains of the caliber of Darkseid and Lex Luthor, and has battled both the original Justice Society and the modern Justice League. In fact, it even had its own monthly title in the mid-1970s, running for 15 issues. The Secret Society has seen several other incarnations over the years. One notable version was led by Alexander Luthor Jr. in Villains United, one of the 4 miniseries leading up to the Infinite Crisis event, which resulted in the formation of the anti-hero team, the Secret Six. In the event Eternal Evil, the villainous supergroup briefly took over the world with the help of the crime syndicate. This iteration of the society showcased their capacity for global domination and their ability to rally together some of the most dangerous villains in the DC universe. And that wraps up our look at the top 10 villains of the Justice League, ranked from weakest to strongest. If you enjoyed this deep dive into some of the DC Universe's most formidable foes, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below with your thoughts. We'd love to hear which villain you think is the most powerful or any others you think deserve a spot on this list. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.